My buddy was on a business trip and asked me to take care of her daughter. I didn't expect this little girl to flirt with me and show me crazy love. This call me a middle-aged man how to bear. I never thought I would see such a picture at home, the pure young girl wearing a wave-like cicada wings white skirt in the living room to do a one-horse. The image made me think. I couldn't help but lower my head, trying my best to drive away the waste in my mind, and greeted Minmin in a serious manner. Minmin was happy to see me home and ran towards me excitedly. The pair of heavy white rabbits bounced around, attracting all my attention, making me gulp a few times. Minmin seemed to be unaware of this, and she circled my arm intimately, pampering me. "Uncle Fong, you're tired after a long day at work, let me help you with your things, there's soup in the kitchen that I've stewed." And unguarded, the briefcase in my hand was taken away by her. I reached out to grab it, but was lightly avoided by her. Instead, she directly jumped into my arms. Caught off guard, the lower half of my body and her were close together. Minmin's face was scarlet, and the moment she lowered her head, it left me speechless. "I'm really too inhuman, buddy, trust me to give Minmin to me to take care of. I actually show this kind of ugly." I began to avoid Minmin. Every day home from work to hide in the room, do not come out. The morning out of the door is also very fast, to avoid and Minmin meet. Minmin sent me a text message, "Uncle Fong, do you hate Minmin? Minmin will not disturb your life anymore." One of her text messages made me distracted, and I rushed home as fast as I could, just in time to bump into Minmin straining to carry a large bag of luggage out of the house. I didn't let her go. "Uncle didn't hate you, he's just been too busy with work lately. Silly kid, don't get carried away." She broke into a smile and directly jumped into my arms. "Minmin likes living with Uncle Fong. As long as Uncle Fong doesn't kick me out, I'm going to live in your house for the rest of my life." I patted her back while feeling the soft touch on my chest. I lost sleep that night as I lay in bed. The Minmin inside my dream was wild and bold. When I woke up the next morning, I felt the bed was wet. Thinking about the images in yesterday's dream, I was too weak to look at Minmin's eyes. I should be too long no relationship, need to find a woman. It just so happened that my friend wanted to introduce me to someone, so I went to meet the woman. She was 1.5 meters or so tall, a little bit slightly fat, and looked like a matchstick. Minmin's face suddenly appeared in my mind. I was mortified and continued contact with the woman with a try-hard attitude. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like every time I go out on a date Minmin looks at me with a sly look in her eyes. After a period of contact, the woman hinted that she could go home with me. I thought that Minmin should be at school now, so I led the woman back home. As soon as I entered the door, she couldn't wait to take me to my room. Honestly, her body is very beautiful, looks too much stronger than people of the same age. If it is the previous, I will certainly be impressed by the woman here, cannot wait to pounce on. But now there is someone in my heart. Looking at the woman's eyes are not much fluctuation, and even some impatience. Boom sound, I looked to the door. Throwing the woman who had already stripped naked in the house, he chased after her towards the outside. I searched for a long time before I found Minmin, who was crying and hugging me tightly. Where am I inferior to that woman? Why do you like her but refuse to look at me? When I reached middle age, how could I ever get the innocent and flawless love of a young girl? It's like two little people fighting in my head. One says, "Kiss her, she's so fragile she's about to cry, you must treat her right." The other said, "You're crazy, how can you do that to such a young girl?" That night, I talked to Minmin about many things, trying to enlighten and admonish her. After that, she was cold to me, and I felt a little loss in my heart. Just when I thought everything was back on track, I suddenly received a call from Minmin's counselor. "Mr. Fong, as the guardian of Minmin's classmate, you must not relax your child's discipline." Minmin had complained to me before about the counselor always targeting her intentionally or unintentionally, and I thought that this time, the counselor was again looking at her in a bad light, and had specially come to complain to the parents. But when I saw the video, I almost didn't faint. Minmin and a tall and big boy were kissing in the classroom. With an expression of enjoyment and seemingly smiling towards the camera, she wrapped her arms around the boy's neck and met him. A few seconds later, the boy pulled out a shirt and threw it on the floor. This beast! I clenched my teeth, my hands balled into fists, and rushed straight to the classroom to take Minmin away. Throwing her heavily into the car, She wrapped herself around me like a snake. Uncle Fang, you don't want me, there are plenty of people who like me, what are you so angry about? Could it be that you're jealous that other people are eating while you're still hungry? She was like a demonic spirit, her knitted brows and smile were all seducing me. My impression of her has always been a good girl, how could she say such words? Angry, I directly moved to slap her buttocks. Minmin's eyes were mesmerized and her expression looked like she was enjoying herself. I stopped moving my hands and told her to get off of me, but she tightened her arms around my waist. The small space in the car, can't spread, not a moment I was wrapped up in her panting, she suddenly came next to me and kissed me. I have nothing with him, the person I like is you. I was in a stirring mood, but I didn't show anything on my face, I just made a pact with Minmin to wait until her studies were over before getting into a relationship, and not to do anything out of the ordinary. She pointed at me with a nasty smile, out of the ordinary like you are now. Since that day after a long talk with her, this little girl has been studying much more seriously and hard lately. In a short period of time, her grades have improved by leaps and bounds, and even applying for scholarships is no big deal. I was proud and a little sad because my buddy was coming back in a few days. The emotion of parting loomed over both of us. Minmin knocked on my study door with a book in her arms. Uncle Fang, can you teach me? It's the economics topic that I'm good at. I looked at it for only 10 seconds or so, and the solution was already all in my head, holding a pen and writing the process on the draft paper. When it was over, Minmin was already sitting next to me. It's cold, Uncle Fang shouldn't be able to refuse Minmin to keep warm. Of course not. My voice was unsteady, only with the last bit of sanity I numbly taught her to solve the problem, my thoughts had long drifted far away. Minmin in my arms is getting more and more restless, her hand directly into my clothes, deftly undoing the buttons. I can no longer stand it, directly from the study rushed out, fleeing as if to return to their own bedroom. Minmin was different from my wretchedness, and even hummed in a happy mood. This house is an old house I bought before the success of my business, the sound insulation is not good, I listened to the pattering sound of water, imagining every move in the shower. Distracted, I thought of some unbelievable images, and couldn't sleep even more. Boredom I directly opened the island action movie, the screen of the woman's face to change the person I think of in my mind, the body soon felt. Too immersed, I didn't even notice the sound of the door being opened. When I reacted, I saw Minmin, who still had a flushed post-shower blush on her face, standing in front of me. With only a bath towel around her body, and her small white jade-like feet stepping on the soft carpet, her entire body exuded an irresistible seductive power. I'm not a saint, able to remain unmoved again and again in the face of titillation. It's just that there's a string called reason in my head that tells me one wrong step and I'm not going to the abyss, and I can't afford to be wrong again. After a minute or two, I thought Minnie had gone, and the moment I opened my eyes twitched. You just had to tease me, didn't you? Do you owe it to yourself to clean up? Yes, I owe it to myself to clean up. I know you like me, if you have the guts, love me with honor like a man. I couldn't hold back any longer, and I tossed and turned for a long time that night, with Minmin's eyes trailing tears, until the sun was about to rise at 4 or 5 in the morning, when I reluctantly let her go. Early the next morning, she woke up in my arms and gave me an angry look, and I started to get stupid again. She started pushing me, and it hurt like hell. As soon as I pulled her over, let me see. Since I've been with her, I've completely dropped my baggage, and without interfering with her schooling, there are traces of our indulgence from the kitchen of the house to the balcony and the bathroom. We both regretted that we hadn't gotten to know each other sooner. As the time for my buddy's return approached, we spent more and more time together, wanting to snuggle up like this for the rest of our lives. Minmin mysteriously sent me a message saying that she had prepared a new robe and was waiting for me to come home at night. I glanced at the photo she sent over and was stirred up. Mr. Fang, you also have a dinner date with Mr. Li today. I ignored my secretary's reminder and flew home. The house was dark, nothing was there, the excitement was blown away by the disappointment. I didn't even come to the light and sat on my butt on the sofa. Suddenly the music started slowly and Minnie came out in that dress holding a cake. Happy birthday! I thought she forgot my birthday today. We worked super well together this night, and our fancy play was so satisfying both physically and mentally. How dare you touch Minmin? My buddy who came back early blocked me and Minmin right on the bed. His voice was angry and his neck was bruised. He scooped me up from the bed and slammed his fists heavily on my shoulders and face. I knew I was in the wrong and didn't fight back, letting my buddy out of this bad temper. Minmin, however, couldn't look away and jumped right on top of me to protect me, telling his buddy to stop fighting. He finished venting his emotions, and his sanity came back some, and asked me what I wanted to do. I held Minmin's hand and solemnly promised my buddy that I would marry her and try my best to let her have a better life. But my buddy didn't say anything. I know his concerns. I am more than 10 years older than Minmin. There have been other women in the past. These years he watched me play the world, of course, will not be impressed by my 3 words. From the room pulled out a long-prepared property transfer agreement notarized book signed his name. Buddy's expression just barely changed for the better. I believe in your sincerity. Not allergic to Minmin is still young. The future of life has a variety of options. I will not let her lie with you. With that, Minmin was taken home by her buddy, and we could only alleviate our thoughts by talking on the phone every day. She was so bold and wild that even a phone call could put me in a mood of 7, missing her every second of every day without fail. How do you still have these videos? She responded wryly, it takes ages every time we meet. I look at it when I miss you. Don't you like it? Of course I liked it. I liked it to the point of going crazy. I wanted to make Minmin as happy as myself in the video as hard as I did, instead of unplugging my lovesickness across the phone. Ever since my buddy bumped into me, he's been keeping a tight rein on Minmin. Not only does he hint at supervising her home every day, but he's also arranged for a bodyguard to be by her side. Minmin and I can only see each other 1 day a week, and my buddy also has to pestle beside him to supervise, afraid that we can't do anything immoral again. The scale of my chat with Minmin was clearer than even on the phone, and the 2 of us had fire in our eyes, but sitting together was separated by 100,000 miles. In the words of my buddy, if I can't put up with this, Minmin won't be happy if she marries me in the future. I can only honestly be an ascetic monk and try to make my buddy happy. She hugged my arm, her beautiful eyes turned slightly. Hubby, I'll go to your company for internship and summer vacation, okay? I couldn't wait to be able to have a legitimate reason to spend time with Minmin, and immediately asked my secretary to arrange everything and wait for the summer vacation. Minmin is also like what I thought. As soon as I came to the company attracted everyone's attention. Look at me outside the eyes of those young boys like wolves and tigers. I was jealous. That day the 2 of us were entangled in the office for the afternoon. Minmin's cheeks were pink when she left the office. The people in the office knew about it, and no one dared to hit Minmin's idea anymore. I was satisfied, and from then on, I was even more unrestrained with Minmin in the office. This group of employees will also be special things. Know the relationship between Minmin and I no longer let her do odd jobs. In addition to the office every day to accompany me, Minmin basically have nothing to do. After a long time, the little girl felt very bored and wanted to find another internship. But how can I leave her, persuade Minmin down, and also gave her a small project to follow up. Minmin looked at me with bright eyes, can I really do it? Will it mess up your career? I rightfully enjoyed her adoring eyes, I believe in you, you will be my wife in the future, the whole company is yours, not to mention one project, even if it's 10 I can afford to lose it. With me as her backing, the uneasy expression on Minmin's face faded, and she spent the rest of her time on her work. Worthy of being a high school student, a small project let her do a good job, and even exceeded my expected profit several times. Even the secretary in the company couldn't help but praise Minmin for her serious work. I was so proud of myself, I really picked up a treasure. Little girl career-minded, I am also happy to support her. Before and after letting her deal with a few projects, she completed exceptionally well. She herself is also very interested in doing business. I intend to cultivate her. Later she graduated from college. I directly waved her into the company directly as vice president. She has the ability to treat people also very kind. The company up and down the people are very like her. After a period of time, my buddies gradually loosened up and let us lie together. She hugged me and pampered me. You are the one who is rich and powerful. I'm not even worried about you being hooked up with other little girls. Why are you still worried instead? I kissed Minmin and hugged her tighter. I'm not short of money, but I'm older after all, and I'm still afraid that Minmin will be abducted by that young, strong young man. Yesterday I found out that Minmin had been tweeting to a man behind my back, and was being secretive and not letting me see it. I was so upset that I had to fly there for a while to deal with a big order overseas. Long-distance relationships are the worst, especially when the age difference between us is so big. I complained to my buddy, who gave me a blank look and ridiculed me for eating young grass in my old age, so I should have thought of such consequences. I raised a child, I know, her feelings for you in my eyes, you don't give me worry about this. My buddy's words were like a pill to my heart, and I was in a much lighter mood. Even when I was busy with my business abroad, I would still call Minmin every day with a good time difference. But sometimes she didn't answer my calls and said with a serious expression that she wanted to tell me something when I returned home. I called my secretary, who told me that the company was in good condition and Minmin had recently left on time after work. I knew something would happen in a long-distance relationship. I really regret not wearing her around on my pants belt. Let me know how good I am and she won't get hooked on another man. I dialed her call after call, and on the 5th call she finally answered. There was still the lethargy of just waking up in her voice. Minmin is not a sleepy girl, besides, it's still 7 o'clock in the evening in domestic time, why did she go to bed so early? I know her habits like the back of my hand, and the thought of her flirting with someone else makes my eyes red with anger. What have you been doing? Why didn't you answer the phone? You're so mean today. My voice was cold and hard. Minmin sensed something was wrong and pouted with me. But I just felt a monstrous rage surging in my chest, and I felt that the green hat on my head was 8 feet high. One didn't hold back to speak directly from the heart. Are you looking for other men behind my back? Ifongia is not a man without measure. You want to have someone else. Hurry to talk to me to understand. Anyway, I'm also tired of you. The little girl on the phone segment cried out with a wail, cursing me for being heartless. My hands were shaking when I saw the picture she sent over. I couldn't believe my eyes. It turned out that the guy who was chatting with Minmin was a doctor from the Women's and Children's Hospital. I'm having a baby. I twisted my thigh as if I couldn't believe myself and asked 3 times over. It is reasonable to say that it is not unusual for a man of my age to have a child, but I am an exception. When I was young, I pursued freedom and didn't want to be held back, and at that time there were women who were pregnant with my child and I pressed them to go to the hospital to fight, and then when I got older, I felt that those women outside were dirty, and could only be used to solve their physical needs, and weren't worthy of giving me a child. God pity me, actually let me at this age both have love, and will usher in a lovely child. I was going to wait for you to come back to give you a surprise. Since you want to break up, I'll go and beat it tomorrow. Minmin was irritated by the thinly veiled words I just said and I was busy apologizing. It was because I cared about her too much that I started to suffer from the fear of being abandoned, so I decided to strike first and was the first to mouth off. I coaxed Minmin for almost 2 hours before she got over it, and vowed never to casually doubt Minmin again. She decided to conceive a child for me at such a young age, so how could I still doubt her character integrity? My partner, who works with me, looked at me and asked me if something good had happened to me recently. I smiled and told my partner that my wife was pregnant and I wanted to go home as soon as possible to take care of her. My partner congratulated me. Again, he apologized for stuffing a girl in my room the other day. I accepted his apology and was incredibly glad that I didn't do anything to wrong Minmin. Otherwise, with Minmin's violent temper, I wouldn't be able to expect my wife and children to be warm in my bed for the rest of my life. When the project negotiation was about to end, the secretary hurriedly called me, saying that something happened to the company. After listening to the secretary's story, I thought carefully about the countermeasures, and the quickest way to solve the problem was to take out the things in my company's safe. With this thing as a handle, now give me trouble people will naturally honest. Doing business with who has no hand a little dirty, usually we make money together cheek by jowl, the key moment or need to means of checks and balances. My safe is hidden and many other people cannot see the light of the secret. Even the secretary who has been with me for 20 years doesn't know the password of the safe, and was shocked when she heard that I asked her to bring Minmin to the safe, and repeatedly confirmed with me. And I just told the secretary to do what I told her to do. I believe that Minmin's ability won't let me down, not to mention that she has my child inside her stomach. How could she still harm me? At the same time, I was also actively promoting the cooperation of overseas projects, striving to return home earlier. On the day I signed the contract, I received good news from Minmin. The storm that was unfavorable to the company was suppressed by her in a very short time. I bought the bag she had been looking at for a long time from Minmin at the duty-free store abroad, and embarked on the journey back to China with an excited mood. The airplane just landed. I waited for not in the airport to meet me Minmin, but a group of police. The police flashed their work permits in front of me and detained me directly. Businessmen have more or less unclean details in their hands, and I sat in the cell and thought my head through, but I couldn't figure out who had such a great ability to strip me of these old stories. Can it be that the company's incident was just a warning, and their purpose was just to send me in? I hurriedly contacted the company's lawyer and asked the lawyer to bail me out as soon as possible. If that stealthy person behind the scenes knows that Minmin is pregnant and is not favorable to her, it would not be good. The lawyer told me that the police have very detailed evidence of my crimes, and I will face a very serious jail sentence. What should I do with Minmin in jail? I was remorseful. The thought of her crying into tears, my heart is like being twisted into a ball like pain. I begged my buddies not to tell Minmin the matter of their own imprisonment, let him take Minmin to the foreign country to rest assured to raise the baby, and so the child was born safely and securely, and then make other plans. I didn't expect to be able to hide it, and Minmin came to visit me directly. Don't worry, I eat and sleep well, it's much easier than when I was a boss outside. I was afraid that Minmin would be worried and took the lead to break the heavy atmosphere with a relaxed tone. In fact, I've had a very bad time here. The prison inmates are also divided into 3, 6, 9 classes, factions. I'm new here, under the head of the prison suffered a lot of losses, my body is even more spread all over the big and small wounds, and now my legs are still in pain. Minmin picked up the phone, her face showed an unimpressed expression. Fang Jia, I hope you stay in prison honestly in this life, and never come out to wreak havoc again. Minmin, what's wrong with you? My real father's name is Su Bing. Su Bing, this name seems a bit familiar. I pointed at Minmin, so angry that I couldn't speak. You designed all this. She sneered and nodded without hesitation. It turns out that there is no such thing as a child, and there is no such thing as adoration, and this woman has come to me with every intention of seeking revenge. 15 years ago, a safety accident occurred at the construction site, died a few workers. Su Bing, this son of a bitch took my salary also for the gang of short-lived ghosts. Faced with the extortion and blackmail of the families of those short-lived ghosts, a son did not want to come out. I did not expect Su Bing actually wanted to take the evidence of my illegal acquisition of land and embezzlement to report me. In a fit of anger, I ordered my men to finish him off. I didn't realize that I had left a loose end after all. This guy is really a ghost. Being a ghost for so many years, he actually let his daughter seduce me and harm me. The evidence in the hands of the police must have been handed over by this snake-hearted woman. How much I used to like her, now how much I want to kill her by 1,000 cuts. Bitch, I will kill you. I crazily cursed this woman, wishing I could rush out and kill her right now. Unfortunately, I am in prison. I have more than enough power. I can only wait for the sentence of the law. For the first half of my life I've done evil to pay the price. The extra episode. Dad was a hero in my eyes, but one day Dad was killed. Mom hugged Dad's body and cried uncontrollably, mouth still can't stop saying, shouldn't let my dad to manage those things. I was too young to understand what my mom meant. Later, my mom took me home in a car and suddenly got into a car accident. The moment before the car exploded, she pushed me out of the car with all her strength. Minmin, remember that your enemy's name is Fang Jia. After my parents died, I became a complete orphan and was sent to an orphanage. I was afraid that I would forget the name Fang Jia, and I would silently recite it several times a day before I went to sleep. One day, I saw this man's name on the TV news. The news broadcast said he was a successful entrepreneur and philanthropist. But I knew he was a devil who had killed my father and mother. In order to be able to get close to Fang Jia for revenge, I studied hard, behaved myself and managed to be adopted out. I didn't realize that my adoptive father was actually a good brother to Fang Jia, which gave me the opportunity to get close to Fang Jia as a matter of course. I even went so far as to seduce him at the cost of my body. His mouth said no, but his body was honest. those dirty eyes just didn't move away from me. I had to put up with the nausea while still making a scene with him. After successfully being with him, he still didn't trust me completely. I then intentionally cold-shouldered him, pretending to fight with other men, so that he suffered, and finally lied to him that I was pregnant, but also managed to buy his secretary. I was so excited when I got the evidence that he had done harm to the world that I burst into tears. I had been dormant for many years, hoping day and night that I could avenge my parents' death, and now my wish had finally come true. When the judge announced the verdict, I took a long breath and completely put down my heart. The furious Feng Jia was out of control in the courtroom, clamoring for me to be broken into pieces. He was sentenced to more than 20 years, and I'm sure those he used to be against would never let him walk out of the prison gates alive and unharmed. I would keep a close eye on him until the day the good news came. Walking out of the courtroom, I looked up at the clear blue sky, knowing that the gloom that had once trapped me had long since dissipated, and I was about to usher in a whole new life of my own. Before this, I made a special trip to thank my adoptive father. Without him, my revenge would not have gone so smoothly. My foster father smiled and said, "Minmin, you did a great job. I've been waiting for this day for a long time, since the day he killed my sister."